Hey church, Corby Richardson here, lead pastor of Friendship Creekside Fellowship. Today, John Pope and I are here to talk to you about prayer ministry, specifically the call to prayer, the power of prayer, and why Friendship has a prayer ministry. We've named this Pray 656 for a very specific reason. About 4.5 years ago, we saw the movie War Room, and in that movie, there was a very pointed expression of strategy, resources, and people. And so we took that to be part of the life here at Friendship. There seemed to be a call for a specific time that the entire church could rally together to pray. And so being that the history of the church was chartered here in 1856 in this area, that 1856 translates in military time to 6:56 p.m. It's something that the entire church can stop, whether you're at work, at home, wherever you might be, at 6:56 p.m. to pray for three things: strategy, resources, and people. And it's not just for the strategy, resources, or the people for the church, but it's in our own lives that we have this call to prayer. So we can talk about it within our families, within our businesses, but also within the life of the church here at Friendship. So as we have had this becomes a significant point for us to rally around. And so John and his wife Pierre have been a part of Friendship. And so their role as the leaders of the prayer ministry are now taking on how we can include the entire church in this powerful ministry that we call Pray 656. So John, just a couple questions for you so we can elaborate on this. Why were you specifically called into a prayer ministry?
That would be kind of a lifelong development that you go through, as a kid. Now I lay me down to sleep, and those type of things. I think that prayer has always been a part of my life, maybe not so much on my behalf, but other people praying for me. A praying mom who just was a real prayer warrior. And then when I got married, my wife Pierre, she was a real prayer person as well. And I know that her prayers, for example, while I was in Vietnam, sustained me. And we just kind of always understood that prayer was a necessity, that prayer is something that really you need to have on a regular basis in your life. And the church that we used to go to before we moved to Texas had an active prayer ministry, and Pierre and I were both invited to be part of that, and we learned a lot while we participated in that prayer ministry, praying for the church, but also praying for people who had specific needs. And just one thing leads to another. We arrived here, and then you and I had a discussion, and we got involved with it here.
I think one of the important things of that conversation was you asked what was our prayer ministry like, and seeing that we were lacking leadership in that area, not only did you understand the power of prayer, but you said, I will lead in this. As husband and wife, as a team, y'all wanted to lead in something. And so, church, it becomes an opportunity that when we see we've been a part of something, that God calls us sometimes to not just sit on the sidelines, but to then jump in and lead. And John and Pierre have done that ever since. How have you seen that become a culture at Friendship Creekside?
Well, we see more folks wanting to participate. We did several classes on prayer, and then we did a round of intercessory prayer for the last two VBS sessions here at the church. We recently did the Unceasing Prayer Initiative, which was 12 hours of prayer, a prayer chain where we passed prayer on. And more people are submitting prayer requests either in writing, during the church service on Sundays that then come to the prayer team, or in the form of emails or texts when they have some kind of a crisis in their life that needs prayer. So there's been a big response that way as well. People know that prayer is available, and we see prayer works.
And we're starting to see answers to prayer. And so as this began, you also started writing a midweek Pray 656. Tell us a little bit about the importance of that in the friendship culture.
Well, the midweek Pray 656 email that goes out It can be keyed off of something that maybe you say in one of your Sunday sermons that really resonates, or sometimes it'll be just connected with real world events that are taking place, or maybe it will come from a daily devotional that I might get via email that will kind of inspire it. But the main point is to just for folks to understand that prayer is not just a Sunday event. It is something. So that's just kind of a reminder. Hey, church, we're still here. We're doing this. Here's something to ponder. Here's something that you could be praying about. And that falls into something that I read sometime back. It was a compilation of letters written in the 1600s by a monk in France. His name was Brother Lawrence, and he worked at the monastery in the kitchen, cooking and then cleaning up, and then also mending leather sandals. And he developed this habit that he called the practice of the presence of God. And so his concept was that anytime, anywhere, you can be in prayer with God, and it is basically just a conversation. It's a running dialogue. If you have that relationship with the Father, He is open to hearing from you at any time. And so this is just, we're trying to get to that point in the development of a culture of prayer here in the church where folks understand that He's available. In Scripture, He tells us to pray. In Thessalonians, it's pray without ceasing. One of my wife's favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 33:3. That's God's phone number. It is, call on me and I will answer you. So we are told to pray, and Scripture also tells us that we should expect answers to our prayer. So it's just getting that across to folks that it's not how eloquent you are. It doesn't have to be formalized, stylized, or whatever. God just wants to hear from you.
And so, church, as we take the approach of a powerful prayer ministry called Pray 656, we want to invite you into this ministry. And so we would ask that you could reach out to John directly. Email john@friendshipcreekside.com. You can set your calendar, your watch to 6:56 p.m. and pray for strategy, resources, and people. And so as you join us, you don't have to be a member of Friendship. You may be in our community. God will use your prayer, your time of coming before Him, whether it's at 6:56 or, as John said, any other part or time of your day. And prayer is not just from those in leadership of the church, but it takes the entire church. So Friendship Creekside, we challenge you. Set your alarm for 6:56 p.m. Join us daily for a time to pray.